Greetings, fellow Americans. Welcome to Fireside Chats, State of Our Nation. I am Susanna Tanner, your host and candidate for President 2028. Let's talk about tariffs. There's been a whole big thing about Donald Trump and his implementation of tariffs and starting this trade war, which, let's face it, it was really unnecessary to begin with. But what are we going to do besides move forward and just make sure that we can end it as quickly as possible? I propose that we change, adjust how our tariff system works. First of all, the people of the nation pay the tariffs for the imports that come in from other countries. That's how that works. Let's leave that alone. The companies that usually are passing the tariffs along to the customers would not actually be charged in this method. But any tariffs collected on those imports should be voted on by the people, first of all, and it should be allocated to the transportation sector of our infrastructure in our nation. This way we can ensure that our imports continue to arrive, that ships have their maintenance taken care of, that workers are paid, making sure that, if we impose a tariff on ourselves, that is where it goes. So, for example, let's say a ballot goes out that has a vote for a tariff. It's for 0.5% on textiles from China. 0.5%. The tariff is not charged to the company, but the company does collect the tariff and turns it in with their regular paperwork, their regular monthly paperwork. So as the company reports their stuff, the payments are made. So it's automatically going into the transportation section of the infrastructure, of our nation's infrastructure. We can implement things like a 0.5% tariff on allied nations' imports and a 10% tariff on non-allied nations' imports. And these are just a couple of different ways that the tariff system can be changed. We could also vote on no tariffs. No tariffs for imports, no type of tax on any import. That is something the people can do. The vote depends on the people, because the people have the power, and since it does directly affect the people, it is the people who should decide whether to implement those tariffs. Tariffs can be used to assist our economic growth, as long as they are not unreasonable. Speaking of voting, let's talk about our voting system. It is important to have multiple ways for individual citizens to cast their ballot. It is just as important to have voting facilities that are open for in-person voting as it is for mail-in and electronic votes. Not everyone is going to transition to the same method or any one particular method. Historically speaking, our voting system has actually been fairly accurate, at least until recently. We, the people, do generally have, access to our ballots. We do not generally have access to the ballot boxes or the systems that record our votes. So it's incredibly difficult for us in general to tamper with something like that. what what really concerns me is that Donald Trump has admitted publicly that the election was rigged and that he won because of it. To the best of my knowledge, no one has started an investigation as to the validity of these allegations, of these admittance, of this confession. I'm sure many of you are wondering the same thing, or I'm sure many of you are wondering why, which is what I am wondering. So I encourage you, all of you who are watching, to attend your town halls with your representatives and ask them why. Ask why Donald Trump is being allowed by Congress to enact these policies that are damaging our economy. Ask why your representative has not invoked the 25th Amendment against Donald Trump and even the current administration entirely. Ask your representative why they are supporting or showing lack of action against executive orders that continue to diminish our government. We, the people, deserve these answers, and a lot more. These are things we can do in addition to protesting and messaging our representatives. Face-to-face contact oftentimes has a lot more of an impact. It's important for all of us who do vote to participate in our government. We, the people, have the power, and it is time that we showed it. Last weekend, I attended the nationwide protest hosted by, it was the Hands Off protest. They partnered with Indivisible, which is another protesting organization, and it was amazing. Just in my smaller area, several thousand people attended. Protesting and speaking out is our right, and it cannot be infringed upon. That is all I have for today. Thank you for your time, and may our path lead to peace and prosperity.